Welcome back to the channel, and I tell you what, West Tennessee has given me a big old welcome back home from vacation. It's hot. It is really hot. I ain't complaining though. We need the heat, especially out here in the cotton field. I tell you who else welcomed me back home, my cotton scout. He sent me a list of what needed to be sprayed before I even hardly got out of bed this morning. Didn't have no time to catch my breath and just ease back into farming. No, it's blow and go time. I tell you what, we was only gone 8 days up in the mountains, but we get back home and I don't even recognize my crop. This ain't the way it looked when I left. It did a whole lot of getting after it while we was gone, but that's exactly what we needed. Anyway, like I said, my cotton scout sent me a list. Yep, we got some spraying to do on our cotton. About 330 out of our 550 acres of cotton need to be sprayed. About 160 got sprayed last week, even though we tried to get our fields cleaned up before we left to where they would hold over while we're gone. We did have some bugs move in on a few farms, and thank goodness for Andy. He was here and he got all of that sprayed by himself. Didn't have anybody tendering water, so he had to drive back to the shop and fill up. But in order for him to do that, I had to get 4 new tires on the sprayer, because whenever we were spraying at the end right before we left, noticed the tread starting to separate on one of the tires, and I knew there's a chance he's going to drive all the way to Madison County with a loaded sprayer. And last thing we needed for him to do is have a tire blow out on the road with a full load on the back. That just wouldn't have been a good deal with him. So anyway, called my friends at Best One. They hooked me up with 4 brand new tires for the sprayer. They were starting to get pretty wore out. I was going to try and make it the rest of the year, but went ahead, had to replace them mid-season. Costed almost $1,800 per tire, so more money going out. Big thanks to Andy on getting that taken care of, and right now our cotton crop looks phenomenal. Still behind though. Been the theme all year long. Been behind, and it's still behind. But with this heat, the sweating I'm doing out here, it's catching up. Not catching up in a hurry, but it is making up some of the ground it lost earlier in the season. So anyway, we talked about money going out. Let's take a look at the money that might be coming in at some point this year. Don't want to count my eggs before they hatch, but really liking what I'm seeing. So we're out here in some of our first replanted cotton, phytogen cotton. It kind of took off before the Delta pine did, and it's a little bit farther along. But anyway, looking down in here, we're in full bloom. Kind of the early stages of full bloom, but we are setting quite a few bowls. Looking down here, here's one that bloomed probably bloomed sometime last week, or maybe right when we left. Anyway, got some bowls starting to get a little bit of size on them, and you know, got blooms working its way up the plant here. So let's find out exactly what stage this cotton is in right now. You see a flower poking out right here. This is going to bloom tomorrow. So come tomorrow, this plant will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 nodes above white flower. Like I discussed earlier, the first position square blooms once every 3 days going up the stalk. So we got the 7th position down, going to bloom tomorrow, and then we got 6 more positions above that. So that'll take 18 days for these little bitty squares in the very top of the plant to bloom. Tomorrow is going to be August 1st. The last effective bloom date is somewhere around August 15th. That's typically based upon our historical weather. That's the last day that a cotton plant can bloom and got about a 50% chance of making a harvestable boll. Past few years, we've seen that date pushed farther on back in August, but it's based on historical trends. Really anything that blooms after August 15th got a every day goes by, got a less and less chance of making a harvestable boll. So based upon our calculations, 18 more days to get into the top of this plant blooming, going to put us past the last effective bloom date. So we're out here spraying for bugs, but the main thing we're spraying for is plant growth regulator. What we're spraying for insecticide is strictly diamond because we're not at threshold on any kind of insects. We're actually pretty good on this field right here, but we do have some immature plant bugs out here, so diamond is real good against immatures. It's a different kind of insecticide, a different mode of action, screws up the molting process on the insects that when they transform from a juvenile to an adult, they die because they can't molt right or whatever. So different mode of action. So what we're seeing in this field is ideal for that. Insecticide should keep this field clean for a while longer, but we need to come out here with growth regulator. Now we've been pretty aggressive with growth regulators this year, but even still, you know, we're at about 3 inches per internode here, and ideally we like to be more compact than that. Because the very tip-top square up on this plant has less than a 50% chance of making a harvestable boll, we want to shut this cotton down. We don't want it to grow anymore because whatever it puts on more up here, it's not going to make. It's never going to make it into the basket of the picker. Or actually, it's not going to make it into the baler of the picker this year because we don't have a basket picker anymore. So we want to shut this cotton plant down, and we want it to focus all of its resources onto the squares and the bolls that's already on the plant, because that's the only thing we're going to be able to harvest. We don't want this growing vegetatively anymore. Now we can't, you know, shut the plant down completely and where it won't put on anymore, but by putting on a high rate of plant growth regulator, we're putting out 5 ounces of a Mepex 6X, which is about 30 ounces equivalent of the old rate of mepicquat chloride. It almost shuts down and won't do very much more growing. Now we'll have to keep on applying that, especially if we get some more rains, to keep that plant shut down. But you know, what we see out here, that's pretty much what we're going to pick. Like I said, right now we're at about 7 nodes above white flower. Ideally at this time we like to be about 5 nodes above white flower, where your white flower is up closer. When you get to 5 nodes above white flower, that's generally considered cut out on cotton. That's when the demands of the bolls that are on there are great enough that the plant automatically goes more into reproductive mode rather than vegetative mode, because it can't produce enough energy to continue to grow aggressively vegetatively while still maintaining the processes to make maximum yield. So we're several nodes behind where we want to be right now. So you know, with the growth regulator, we want to slow this, we want to shut this plant down vegetatively as much as possible, kind of let the blooming catch up going up until it's got enough energy demands on the plant that it doesn't want to grow vegetatively anymore at all, and just focus everything on the reproductive process. Now when it gets to nodes above white flower, you know, like I said, that's kind of when the demands are kind of equal between vegetative and reproductive, and it can stay at 5 nodes above white flower as it continues to put on top growth for a little while until finally the plant decides to shut down and focus everything on reproduction. So until we get to that point, we're going to be very aggressive with the plant growth regulators. But overall, some fine looking cotton. Now also, the last rain we got was the Friday that we left, so it's now been about 10 days without rain. Our cotton's not hurting by any stretch of the imagination. It's still growing strong. It's still got enough moisture, but ideally we would like to see another rain this week, especially for our corn crop. One more rain on our corn crop will dang near get it done. It'll get our cotton a lot farther along, because you know, now is the time we really don't want to see a whole lot of stress on the cotton, especially drought stress, because we got a lot of young bolls on there that the cotton could actually kick off if it encounters a lot of heat or moisture stress. So you know, we need to make good yields. Well, we need kind of regular rains from here on out. Cotton doesn't need near as much water as corn does. Probably doesn't even need quite as much water as soybeans does. But for maximum yield, it is going to need it. Otherwise, a lot of these squares that have just bloomed could potentially be kicked off by the plant. So anyway, just want to give you a quick update on the cotton crop as we got back from vacation, because a lot's changed since the last time both I've seen it and you've seen it. So we're gonna finish out spraying today, and Kelly and Andy will get the spraying done tomorrow while I get to work on some other stuff there around the shop. We got just maybe a hair over 1 month before harvest starts, and we got a lot of stuff to get done. All right, well, Kelly and Andy finished up the cotton spraying. I'm gonna get started on another project. Today's supposed to be the coolest day of the week, so I thought today'd be a good day to finish loading all of our wheat. Yep, that's right. We still got our seed wheat to load up. We got about, I think around 830 bushels in this bin. And then probably about 400 bushels in this bin. And we got an appointment 6 o'clock Thursday morning in Greenfield to get our seed wheat cleaned. Hopefully have close to enough wheat for the acres I plan on planting this fall. Man, I sure wish these bins had that new belt sweep in them. Sure make this job a whole lot easier. As it is, the sweeps in these two bins are better than the original ones that I had in my other two bins, you know, the one that we replaced in that bin. See, it's got kind of a tire with tread on there, and it pulls itself real good. We don't have to stand here and kick it, and we just gotta stand behind it, scoop it up, and then blow the floor off. Thing is because it's not piled up high, this thing can tend to move pretty quick, especially for one person in here trying to scoop up behind it. So I'm gonna do my best to clean up. I mean, today it's first thing in the morning, and it's actually pretty mild. It feels quite comfortable out here. However, you get in this bin with no air stirring, it gets humid and hot real quick. So when you're messing around in grain bins in the summer, a heat stroke is definitely a possibility. But I'm gonna take it easy, probably take several breaks. We'll try and get this cleaned up and in the loadout bin. Guarantee you one thing, it may be halfway cloudy, about 90 degrees out there. There ain't no air stirring in that bin. It's hot. Got our big one cleaned out, about 800 bushels, and I think our small one, we got about 300 bushels, 400 bushels in it, and got to wait until Andy gets back with the truck. Went to move it, found out it had a flat drive tire, so he's off getting it fixed. And once he gets back, we'll load the loadout bin in the truck and then put our second variety in the loadout bin, and we'll be ready to go Thursday. There ain't nothing better sounding to a farmer than waking up on an August morning and hearing thunder. 3 inches later. We sat for a little while longer. We've been almost 2 weeks without rain, and it was starting to get a little dry again. Not anything dangerous, but the cotton was starting to wilt during the heat of the day, and this definitely replenishes the soil, and it ain't gonna make our corn crop, but it's gonna get real close. As it is, nothing else happens. We should have a good corn crop. One more rain here in another week or so should just put the finishing touches on having a really good corn crop. Andy just getting back from Best One. He took the drill over there to get 4 new tires put on it. And because it's wet weather, we're gonna get started on another project. Now, when you got a farm that's 141 years old, you tend to acquire quite a bit of infrastructure, and well, a lot of that infrastructure's been around a long time, and sometimes it needs to be fixed and or upgraded, and that's what we're going to do today. Now, what you see here is our off-road diesel fuel station, and also our water fill station for the water truck. Now, all this right here actually used to be a fertilizer mixing plant. My granddad sold fertilizer and chemicals in the 50s and 60s, and you know, this is where all the liquid fertilizer was mixed up and pumped out, and then we quit making our own liquid fertilizer on sometime mid-90s. We switched to dry fertilizer then, and my dad rigged this up to be a water fill station for all the spraying we got to do with cotton and everything. Plus, we needed more on-farm storage of dyed fuel, and it moved our diesel fuel station down here. And it's done us a good job for 30, 35, 40 years, whatever. Anyway, it's time to give it a little TLC. Yeah, this building right over here is what we call the potash house. That's where we stored all the potash in 50-pound bags. And then up underneath this part of the shed, it used to be a lot higher. There was a great big mix vat right here that would auger in the potash into here, and I guess add water. I don't really know how they mix fertilizer. That was kind of before my time. And anyway, blended the fertilizer and then pumped it out. But anyway, a couple years ago, we upgraded our water fill pump from a 2-inch pump to a 3-inch pump, and we got 3-phase electricity out here. So that part's already done. But you look at all of this, and especially the support that all of my electrical stuff mounts on, that's ain't nothing but rust holding that up from all the years of fertilizer, and it's going to come crashing down at some point and probably tear up a bunch of electrical. As it is, every time we kick the pump on, this jumps and shakes all this right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of all this framework and build some more framework, probably hanging it from the rafters right here, mount our boxes back on. And here's the starter box and the switch for our pump. I mean, it looks rusty and stuff, but it's still working good, and you know, starters and stuff are not cheap, so we're just gonna mount these boxes onto our new board. But this is the power for our fuel pump over here. We're gonna redo all of this, gonna add a 110 outlet out here too, just for supplementary electrical. And then the second thing we're gonna do is upgrade our fuel pump here. We've been using this pump here for at least 30 years, if not longer, and the pumping stuff still works. It's kind of gotten old and tired, but what went out on it is the computer on the pump here. Don't know what happened, but anyway, it started ratcheting, and then finally it just stopped working. And anyway, we like to be able to meter our fuel to keep track of our fuel usage, plus the guys on the zombie trail use this too to fill up the tractors, and need to know how much fuel to bill them for. So we really need a meter. I actually looked into getting that meter repaired, but there's hardly anybody that works on those old mechanical meters anymore. And you know, this fuel station, you know, it's slow, probably less than 10 gallons a minute, and when you know, we're busy in harvest season, we typically try to fill our service truck up with fuel when we get in that night, so we'll be ready to go first thing in the morning. And you know, it takes us 15-20 minutes to get it filled up, so we're going to upgrade this with a lot bigger fuel pump, faster fuel pumps rated for about 35 gallons per minute to, you know, speed all that up, so give us real high capacity on fueling up. You know, back when my dad put this in, you know, fuel tanks on tractors and stuff were 35, maybe 40 gallons. You know, a cotton picker was 50 gallons, maybe 60 gallons. Now my new cotton picker's got, I think, like a 300-gallon tank on it. You know, combine's got a 150, 175-gallon tank on it, so helps speed filling things up quite a bit. So anyway, I think I got pretty much everything I need to get this project done, so I'm gonna get started with the electrical, so it'll be up and going quickly in case we need to do any spraying after it dries up, whatever. And then after we get that done, we'll turn our attention to the fuel pump. All right, we got the electrical boxes off that we need, so now I reckon we can do a little destruction, get rid of that metal framework. And Andy got the fuel pump all disconnected and moved and everything, and after we get this part over here done, and we'll turn our attentions to that. We got the service truck filled up with fuel, just in case this project takes a little longer than I think it should, which always seems to be the case. All right, Andy, you want to do the honor, see if your muscles can rip that thing apart? There ain't too much holding it.
Let's see. I'm gonna try and just pick straight up on it, really. Oh yeah.
there was even less holding that thing than what I thought there was.
That wasn't. There's one little bolt right here.
Oh, we got a brace on the back side. I didn't see that. All right, I guess we're going to get a.
Cut that one off.
We'll have to cut that there. All right, with Andy's expert electrical work, got a new board up, got all the existing stuff for the motor, got it in there, just got to put covers on, and then the fuel we completely rewired, put in another circuit, got a 110 outlet out here just for in case. Yes, I know that's not up to code, but guess what? There is no code on Griggs Farms. It's going to work just fine. And then for added security, to be able to get power to the fuel, you got to have a key. We put that key lock on the power running over there. Yeah, over the years we have had problems with people stealing the gas, and clear fuel haven't had any problem with dyed fuel, but you know what, better just to lock it up. So earlier this summer, Andy and I put that same kind of lock and redid the electrical on our gas pumps and clear fuel pumps, and went ahead and put it on this one too. So now all we got to do, just put covers back on, and then we get started over here on getting the fuel pump mounted and wired up. Andy, you want to try the honors on the waters to make sure it comes on and works? You're going to have to cut power on that breaker over there on that pole. Oh yeah. Success. And this didn't look like it was going to come falling down either.
Yeah. I say that's a job well, nicely well done right there.
Yeah. All right, it's getting a little closer to quitting time on, today's Friday, ain't it? Mm-hmm. All right, yeah, it's getting a little closer to quitting time on Friday. We're gonna work on this a little while longer, probably finish it up Monday morning. All right, this morning we're gonna try and get this project finished up here. So we've already test fitted our pump onto our stand over here, and found out that we definitely needed some bracing right here with this stand pipe. With that heavy pump on top, it's just shaking back and forth. So what I'm gonna do right now is build a stand before we mount the pump up. And because there's no good way to bolt to the pump, had to put my thinking cap on and figure out how to brace it. But anyway, made this plate right here that this stand pipe is barely gonna fit in. I'll have it right here, and then we're going to weld up a a frame, got my pieces of metal cut right here to hold that pipe in place and keep it from going back and forth there. Got Andy today spraying a little bit of cotton. Thankfully the Cotton Scout said bugs are good and picks is good, but as I saw last week, we got some grasses coming away. We got some grasses coming in with a vengeance, so he's loading up with Roundup and Clethodim, try and get it. This year, broadleaf signal grass, either that or jungle rice, I don't know which one it is it's starting to take over some of our cotton fields around the edges, and I've never seen it before. So I know a lot of people are having problems killing it, and now we're finally starting to see it, so definitely want to try and knock it out before it goes to seed, and hopefully a quarter Roundup and 16 ounces of Clethodim will do the trick and knock it back where it doesn't go to seed. So he got about maybe 125 acres total to spray, spot spraying around all our fields. So he's gonna take care of that while I take care of this. It's pretty much a one-man job. So got everything cut, let's get to welding. All right, there is the finished project. It's not pretty, but it ought to be functional. Frame pretty sturdy, a lot sturdier than it was with just the pipe, so that ought to work. Got 20 foot of hose here. I might have to add another section. Probably should have gotten it a little bit longer. I think 20 foot's how long our old one was over there, but overall, I think we're gonna be pretty happy with this. Andy, we ain't got anything needs filling up with fuel, do we?
No, not that I can think of. I know the sprayer could use like a little bit if you want to test it out. That'd be pretty neat.
Yeah, we might pull it down here and see how quickly it tops it off. I need to get my mobile spot spraying rig ready, because we got to go up to Madison County pigweed hunting here real quick. All right, we're gonna get this diesel pump maiden voyage. How much fuel we got in the sprayer there?
Got about a half a tank.
Half a tank.
Let's see how long it takes to...
It holds well over 100 gallons, so I expect to be cracking open a beer here in about 3 minutes. All right, turn my security system off. All right, try it. All right, better brace yourself. It might be like a fire hose coming out. I don't know if that's 35 gallons a minute, but definitely a lot faster than my old one. Yeah, I probably need to get another length of hose and add it to there. I thought that was longer than one we had, but I don't think it is. $75 gallons in about 2.5 minutes. That's 30 gallons per minute. Yeah. It's 3 times as fast as my old one. And the automatic nozzle cut off. Good deal. I just noticed one thing totally slipped my mind. I need to get a fuel filter base, go on there to filter the fuel. That'll be another job for another day, but other than that, all this old infrastructure is now being upgraded. Our water field is excellent. Our electrical is panel and stuff is good, and fuel pump. Hopefully, won't have to touch this again in my lifetime, other than maybe replacing the starter on the motor. All right, about that beer I mentioned earlier. It's time.
That is big.
I need to rehydrate. I done lost a lot of fluids today. Anyway, guys, appreciate y'all watching. See you in the next one.